I was only 12 when Earth was destroyed. My name is Taryn Valen, and I am one of the few who can still remember a childhood spent on native soil, breathing unfiltered air and feeling the gentle touch of rain on bare skin. We are the last of a dying breed, the ones they call grounders, because we were born on Earth, on sacred ground, unlike the rest, who came into existence in the sterile zero-gravity colonies. To them, we are relics of a past they barely know, a time when Earth was still our home. To us, Earth remains our cradle, our birthplace, and the source of our thirst for revenge. The destruction of our world was, scientifically speaking, simple. The AVCs, as we call them, detonated the planet's core, shattering it into fragments of molten rock and crust, ready for their machines to harvest. But the aftermath wasn't so simple. That day we lost everything, everyone I knew, all of our knowledge, our culture, and our homeland. Only 20,000 of us survived, rescued by the mercy of another species, the Greys, who had been observing us for centuries. They couldn't stop the destruction of Earth, but they saved as many of us as they could find. They fed us, sheltered us, and became our teachers. For this we owe them a debt we can never repay. But even in the safety they provided, we were driven by one unshakable desire: revenge. The Greys spoke of another world, Nova Terra, a planet where we could rebuild far from danger. Most of humanity settled there, seeking a new beginning. But not all of us. Some of us, like me, could not forget Earth. We remembered what was done to us, and we craved vengeance. We were weak, scattered, and few in number, but we had one advantage: adaptability. The Greys gave us what they could: arms, technology, advice, but we knew it wouldn't be enough. We had to become something more. We started to steal the AVC's technology, reverse engineering it to fit our needs. We became a virus, using their own machines and weapons against them. Now, I sit aboard an assault frigate concealed within an asteroid field, 2,000 kilometers from an AVC cruiser. Our mission is clear: infiltrate the ship and steal the schematics for their FTL engines. I'm part of the SPA, the only military force humanity has left, though we're not officially recognized as such. To the rest of the galaxy, we are outlaws, pirates. If we are caught, there is no trial, only execution. But we are driven by the same burning need for revenge, and we accept this risk willingly. As I tighten the straps on my armor, my mind focuses. I'm armed with an exoskeleton, reverse engineered from a VC tech, but improved by human hands. My weapon, crafted by humans but based on alien designs, is built for one purpose: to eliminate the enemy swiftly and efficiently. Our goal is simple: board the enemy ship, take what we can, and leave no survivors. One day we will have our own fleet. One day we will have our revenge. But for now, we kill. He pleads for mercy, invoking his brood and their eggs. But I think of my own family, the billions who were lost, and the world that was stolen from us. There can be no mercy. I pull the trigger. Back on our ship, we assess the mission: 2 casualties, but we retrieved critical information: shipping manifests, convoy routes, and most valuable of all, blueprints for an FTL drive. With this, we will build a fleet to match theirs. The AVCs will know we were here, but they will have no proof. Our leaders will deny any involvement, dismissing us as rogue pirates. And so we will continue operating in the shadows, waiting for the day we can strike openly. The Greys have offered us shipyards at Epsilon Eridani, where we can build our warships and train our crews. Our flagship, the Prometheus, will be the crowning achievement of human and alien technology, a symbol of humanity's resurgence. One day, humanity will have to fight, whether we are ready or not. But those who stand against us will discover that behind our diplomats' polite words and placid smiles are countless soldiers like me and warships like the Prometheus. Enemies of Earth, tremble, for her children are coming, and we will not stop until justice is served. Our mission was successful, but there's no time to dwell on it. Every victory is just a small step toward a much larger goal. Commander Reese Arden, our squad leader, gathers the remaining troops for a debrief. His voice is calm, but the tension in the air is unmistakable. Each of us knows the stakes. We are not just soldiers, we are the last hope for a species that was nearly wiped out. We've got the data, Commander Arden says, his sharp eyes scanning each of us. But the real work begins now. This is just the first step in a long campaign. I know he's right. We're playing a dangerous game, stealing from the AVCs, adapting their technology, and staying just ahead of their patrols. But it's all leading somewhere. We're building towards something bigger, something the AVCs won't see coming until it's too late. As the debrief wraps up, Kyle Donovan, my closest comrade, walks over. His grin, sharp and sly, is a stark contrast to the serious atmosphere. "So Taryn, you think this is the one? The mission that finally turns the tide?" I shrug, pulling off my helmet. "If it's not, we'll keep pushing until we find the one that does." Kale laughs softly. "You always were the optimist, but I'm not sure optimist is the right word. I don't believe in hope, not anymore. I believe in survival. In fighting, adapting, and eventually winning. If that makes me an optimist, then so be it." Later, as I sit alone in the cramped quarters of the frigate, my thoughts drift to Nova Terra. It's been years since I last set foot there. The reports we get speak of a thriving world, a beacon of hope for humanity's future. But for me, Nova Terra is just a distant memory, a place I could never fully call home. My heart still belongs to Earth, or rather, to the memory of what Earth once was. The door slides open, and Lieutenant Murris Kerr, another veteran of countless battles, steps in. Her face, like mine, is etched with the weight of years spent in the shadows of this war. "We're moving to the next phase," she says, her tone clipped and efficient. "Commander Arden wants us ready for the next mission in 6 hours. We've got another target lined up this time, a supply convoy. We'll hit them fast, take what we need, and disappear before they even know what happened." I nod, standing up to prepare. The missions blur together at times, each one a step closer to our final goal, but each one a reminder of how far we still have to go. The AVCs are vast, their power seemingly limitless, but we have something they lack. We are driven not by conquest or greed, but by the fire of vengeance, by the need to right a wrong so great that it has scarred the soul of every survivor. 6 hours later, we are in the assault pods again, waiting for the green light. Sergeant Vale Thorne, who's been with us since the early days, checks his gear with methodical precision. His voice, rough from years of shouting orders, cuts through the silence. "Stay sharp, people. We've been lucky so far, but one mistake is all it takes." The pod shakes as we're launched into the void, aimed at the heart of the convoy. This time, the mission is straightforward: disable the supply ships, seize whatever tech or resources we can, and get out. The convoy is lightly guarded, but the AVCs are not to be underestimated. As we approach the convoy, the tension in the pod rises. We all know what's at stake. We know what happens if we fail. But failure is not an option, not when we've come this far. The impact hits, and the doors slide open. We charge into the enemy ship, weapons raised, moving with the precision of a well-oiled machine. The AVCs inside are caught off guard and their defenses fall quickly. But something feels off. The resistance is too light, too scattered. I glance at Kale, who gives me a questioning look. He senses it too. As we push deeper into the ship, I realize what's wrong. This isn't just a supply convoy, it's a trap. The AVCs have been expecting us. "Fall back," Commander Arden's voice cuts through the comms. It's an ambush. Before I can react, the ship shakes violently. Explosions rip through the hull, and the lights flicker. We've been hit. Kale pulls me to my feet, his eyes wide with urgency. "We need to move." Now he shouts over the noise. Together we scramble toward the escape route, the sound of battle raging all around us. The mission has gone sideways, but there's still a chance we can get out. We're survivors, that's what we do. As we make our way back to the pods, I catch a glimpse of Commander Arden fighting off a group of AVC soldiers. He's holding his ground, but it's clear he won't be able to hold them off for long. "Go." He shouts at us, waving us toward the pods. Get out of here, but I hesitate. Leaving him behind feels wrong. Cal grabs my arm, pulling me toward the exit. "We can't help him," Taryn, he says, his voice grim. "We have to go," I nod, swallowing the guilt, and follow Kale to the pods. The doors close, and the pod launches us back to safety, but the loss weighs heavy on my heart. Back on the frigate, the reality of the situation sinks in. We've lost Commander Arden, and the mission was a failure. But even in defeat, we've learned something valuable. The AVCs are preparing for us, but they still don't fully understand who they're dealing with. As I sit in silence, I make a vow to myself. We will rebuild, we will adapt, and we will strike again. The AVCs may have set a trap this time, but it won't stop us. It won't stop me. For Earth. For all we've lost. And one day for our final victory. The loss of Commander Arden hit hard. He was more than just a leader, he was a symbol of our fight. A veteran who had seen us through some of our darkest days. His death wasn't just a personal blow, it sent ripples through the entire crew. As word spread, the mood on the frigate shifted, tension tightening like a coiled spring. Even Kale, who could always find humor in the darkest moments, seemed more withdrawn, his usual light-hearted banter replaced by grim silence. Lieutenant Maurice Kerr called for a meeting in the command room. The remaining senior officers and a few key members of the SPA team gathered around the central holo display, the blue light casting shadows on their tired faces. Mara stood at the head of the table, her sharp eyes scanning the group, assessing the weight of the situation. "We've suffered a setback," she began, her voice steely but calm. "But we've faced worse, and we will move forward. Arden knew the risks, and so do we. This fight is far from over." She brought up the schematics we had managed to retrieve, despite the ambush. "We may have been caught in a trap, but we still have the blueprints for their FTL engines. With this, we can start building ships faster than we ever could." Before the room was silent, Sergeant Vale Thorne stepped forward, his expression hard but resolute. "We can't let Arden's death be in vain. We need to push harder, be smarter. The AVCs are expecting us now, but that's their mistake. They still don't realize how dangerous we are." When cornered, I nodded, feeling the fire reignite in my chest. Terran Valen would not let this failure define us. Kale caught my eye across the room, a determined look replacing the shadows that had haunted him earlier. He knew as well as I did this was the moment we had to strike back harder than ever before. Maris continued, "We've been granted clearance to travel to Epsilon Eridani, where the Greys have allowed us to begin constructing a new fleet. This is our chance. The Prometheus is nearing completion, and with these new FTL schematics, we can make her faster, stronger. We will have the tools to strike deep into a VC territory. But we'll need more than just ships. We need soldiers, engineers, and tacticians, people who understand what's at stake." Kale spoke up, his voice full of conviction. "The time for hit-and-run tactics is over. We need to build our forces, prepare for open war. The AVCs may have the numbers, but we have the will to fight. We've adapted to every challenge they've thrown at us, and will continue to adapt until we win." Everyone in the room felt the shift. The grieving would come later. For now, there was only the mission. Over the next few weeks, our frigate made the long journey to Epsilon Eridani, weaving through the galaxy's outer reaches, keeping under the radar of VC patrols. The journey gave us time to plan, to strategize, and to prepare. But it also gave me time to think. With a jolt, our pod launches toward the enemy cruiser, speeding at 3,000 miles per hour. The only thing between us and instant death is the inertial dampeners, another piece of stolen VC technology. We smash into their hull, and the battle begins. The AVCs, though intelligent, are physically fragile. Their bones are hollow, their bodies spindly, and in close combat they stand no chance. One by one, they fall. We move through the ship with precision. I think of Nova Terra, flourishing in secrecy, hidden from our enemies. Many are content to rebuild there, but not all. Some of us are preparing for war. We're gathering resources, building shipyards, and planning our vengeance. I know that someday soon, I will serve on the first human warship to see battle among the stars. For now, though, my team and I push forward to the bridge. We need to reach the AVC's captain before they destroy anything of value. When we reach the captain's quarters, we find an older VC, his feathers graying with age. He stands unarmed, staring at me with fear. Few humans have seen an AVC in person, and the sight of me armored, battle-hardened terrifies him. I spent most of my nights staring out of the observation deck, watching stars blur past in streaks of light. I couldn't help but think of Earth, of the childhood I had lost, of the people we had lost. I wasn't alone in that. Every member of SPA carried their own ghosts, their own memories of a world that no longer existed. One night, Kale joined me, leaning against the railing as he stared into the vastness of space. "You still think about it, don't you?" he asked, his voice soft but knowing. "V every day," I replied, not taking my eyes off the stars. "I remember the rain, the feel of the wind on my face. The little things, you know." Kale nodded. "Yeah, I get it. Sometimes I wonder if we'll ever find peace. Not just for ourselves, but for the people we lost." For Earth, I didn't answer. I wasn't sure if we would ever truly find peace. Maybe vengeance was all that was left for us. When we finally arrived at Epsilon Eridani, the sight was breathtaking. The Greys had constructed vast shipyards in the shadow of a massive asteroid field, and already several human warships were being assembled. The Prometheus, our flagship, stood out among them, its sleek design a fusion of human and alien engineering. Seeing it filled me with a strange mixture of hope and determination. This ship would be our spearhead, the symbol of our resurgence. We docked, and Lieutenant Kerr immediately led us to meet the Greys' chief engineer, Cirrus VI, a tall, lithe figure with an air of quiet authority. The Greys had always been distant, their motives unclear, but they had saved us, and now they were helping us rebuild. Whether out of genuine empathy or some strategic interest, I didn't know. But for now, we were allies. Cirrus greeted us with a formal nod. "Your work with the FTL schematics has already proven invaluable. With the modifications, the Prometheus will be able to outrun any known VC vessel." Lieutenant Kerr glanced at me and Kale, both of us standing at attention. "How soon until we can launch?" Cirrus's alien eyes flickered. "Soon. But there is still much to do. Your people will need time to adjust to the new technology, and the ship's systems are more advanced than anything you've used before I stepped forward. We'll adapt, just like we always have." Cirrus regarded me with a slow nod. Indeed, adaptability has always been humanity's greatest strength. But be warned, once you launch the Prometheus, there will be no turning back. The AVCs will know that humanity is no longer a scattered, weakened force. They will strike back with all their might. I clenched my fists, determination hardening in my chest. Let them come. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. For every comment that says, we will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.